YouTube. I'm Jeff Fuller. I am the host of Sporting Dog Adventures. We're now an online show. We were on national TV for 8 years. We're now an all digital channel. I'm also the owner of Soggy Acres Retrievers, where we breed Labrador Retrievers and we train hunting dogs. It is great to see y'all here today. Bring us your questions. It's a hot day. Scarlett is here, of course. Come on, Scarlett. Show us says hi. Come on, come up and say hi. Scarlett is here today. She is always here. She likes to jump on my lap when we're doing Dog Talk Live and say hi to everybody. But we're getting ready for hunting season. I've got my last group of training dogs. We're halfway through, and we will soon basically be hitting the field in the fall. The show this year, we're going to do one episode a week until we get toward hunting season, and then we're going to do two. Primarily, it's going to be all about training. We are going to put one hunting episode per month up. This week, we've got a upland hunt from the great state of Kansas. We went out with Old School Outfitters. If you guys want to go on a fun hunt, Old School Outfitters is a wonderful place to go. It's called Old School Outfitters because it is an outfitter that is in an old school, which is really unique. They had a school as well as they had a restaurant in this place, very comfortable. Luke Laha was the owner. He took us out. They've got some great field, great birds. We really had a good time. Took my sons Clayton and Calvin with me. And this hunt was all about the weather. If you've ever hunted where you're basically leaning into the wind to try to have it block the brim of your hat block, kind of like this, block the snow and ice, it was brutal. But the dogs did great. We shot pretty well, considering it was tough because the birds would get up in this huge wind and they would just take off. And hard to hit birds when they're going that fast, but it was a learning experience for the kids. They shot well, dogs performed well. It was a lot of fun. When you guys check in, if you could, please put where you're from and what kind of dog you have. We always like to have that up so that we can talk to people and get where they're from and what they have and go from there. If you have questions, please put your questions up. Dog related, training related, hunting related, or weather related, or whatever you'd like to talk about today. Type it in, put it up. If it's something where you're watching this after, or even if you're watching it now and you don't want to put your question up live, feel free to put it up later. The other option that you have is to email me. I'm going to put my email up here. I don't know if everyone saw our first episode. We put our first episode out for season 9 of Sporting Dog Adventures. And the episode that we put out was about Labrador Retriever colors. We talked about the colors. We talked about genetics. We talked about how to look at buying a dog with pedigree. And it was some good information. I try to put this stuff out that will work with what I am talking to clients with every day so that I'm educating you as much as I can. That's kind of the fun of having the new format of the show. We're going to have dog tips where we're only talking about stuff that pertains to dogs on about half of our episodes. The other half will still be hunting, upland, waterfowl, and big game. But it is something that is very near and dear to my heart because it's helping educate on training, where before we had a tip, now we have a full-blown training segment where we're showing you how to do stuff so that we can get more people involved in the field and in the sport I love. All right, we got Canada. We got Michigan. Keep checking in where you guys are from, what kind of dog that you have, and let me know. We are incredibly hot right now. I think we're going to hit 90, which I know everyone that's down south is going, that's not hot. For up here, it is. We get heat indexes well over 100. Tomorrow's supposed to hit near 100, as well as Friday. When you have weather like this, be safe for your dogs. Make sure that you are not putting them in a position where they, in essence, run themselves to death. We had a graduation party. It was about 84 degrees. The dogs went outside. I look out, and we had some kids that were there for the party. They're having a blast having the dogs retrieve. I looked out, and I immediately knew the dogs were in somewhat of a struggle because they'll run until they're dead. And they were out there. They were fat-tongued. They were gasping for air. We had to bring them in and cool them down. You can really do harm to your dogs if you put them in a position like this. So make sure you're being safe for your dogs. Make sure that the dogs get plenty of water, and make sure that you don't run them too long in this extreme heat. My kennel, we've got air conditioning in it. We don't use it obviously often in Wisconsin, but we keep the air there. Probably, I'd say about the hottest it gets is 75 degrees. Occasionally get warmer, but we also take the humidity out, so it lowers that heat index. Remember, when dogs are running around, they're down in the cover. You're not, so it's a lot hotter, and even your humidity levels are higher when they're down in the cover. If you guys have questions, please throw them out there. We'd love to hear from you and hear what questions you have. Again, hunting, dog related, or if it's something about hunting season, let us know. We've got more people joining on as we go. We're also streaming this on YouTube. I haven't had a huge following on YouTube as far as our live streams. I know our last episode we had 18,000 views. If you want to find our YouTube channel, it's youtube.com/Sporting Dog Adventures TV. We put our same content up there as well as there's past seasons up there. We are on Carbon TV. We're on Waypoint TV. We've got stuff up on Instagram TV, which is kind of cool. We're at Sporting Dog TV on Instagram. And we're putting it on here on the Sporting Dog Adventures channel. Let's see if I can do that. Sporting Dog Adventures channel. So this link that I just put up is where we drop all of our video. It's a video platform page here on Facebook. We drop it there. We share it across to our other pages. So that will give everyone an idea of where to find us. I think on Facebook last week we had somewhere in the neighborhood of around 8,000 views on our episodes. So we had 18,000 views on YouTube, and then the other platforms we won't get reporting on. But that's pretty good. Probably 25 to 30,000 views on our tips on Labrador Retriever coat color. So if you guys haven't seen that, go to the link on Sporting Dog Adventures channel, find the episode, and go ahead and check it out. Let us know what you think. Again, if you guys have questions, please let me know and put them up. It is a hot, lazy day, so I totally get it. If you have questions and you're watching this later, have at it and let us know about that later. But we love to answer questions. We love dogs. We love the world that we live in here with hunting dogs, and we'd love to talk training with you. Let's see. This week we're out in Kansas. Kansas is a diverse state. They've got great deer hunting. Everyone knows about that. They've got second and on turkey hunting as well. They are also a premier destination for upland as well as waterfowl. This week we're out with Old School Outfitters. We are out hunting for pheasants and chukar. Cool property, great part of the state. This year I've been told that due to the water, there's some areas that are wonderful, and there's some areas where people are going to struggle just because of the fact that a lot of the crops are getting washed out. Up here in Wisconsin, we're really hoping that we get a dry period. We've been in a relative dry period lately here. We've got a lot of heat, so hopefully it'll evaporate off some of our water. Our sheet water last year was ridiculous, the amount of sheet water we had. The marsh that we have our hunting property on, I would say was probably 2 feet high compared to where it normally is. And it's just continued spring into summer. Hoping that comes down, and hopefully this hot weather will get us there. All right. What can I do to help with whistle work? My female has a delayed sit or stop, looks, and then blows the, and look when I blow the whistle. So Brad, what you do with whistle work is you start with the dogs where you work with them just on obedience. Walk with the dog at heel on leash, tell the dog to sit, and then hit the whistle. So it's sit, beep, and then hit the whistle. 2 or 3, beep, beep, or beep, beep, beep is calling here. If you're working with sending the dog and stopping them, you just need to start where they're closer, and you have either a leash on them, or if they listen well when they're close, and sit them on whistle. What you'll have happen is a lot of times dogs will try to come toward you and try to come toward you when you hit a whistle because they think you're calling them in. So it's reassuring the dog when they sit, telling them good dog, good dog, good dog, and then starting them so they're farther away. If you're having problems where the dog's blowing off the whistle, use an e-collar or an electric collar to correct the dog. That you are hitting the whistle, correcting the dog, and teaching them that yes, this is what you're supposed to do uh, when they're given that command. That it's no different than the sit command. But do realize if you haven't worked with your dog sitting other than next to you, and you're trying to remote sit them, I would also work with them on the sit command as well so that they understand what you're at. You never want to use a collar unless the dog completely understands a command. So always make sure you teach the command first and then use a collar to reinforce it. How we doing, Mr. Larry from Big D? What am I hearing? Grain-free foods. Larry, you know what? Grain-free foods are pretty, dog foods are pretty much the same as grain-free food for people. You will find studies and information from places that are in essence a lot of times paid to say what that company wants. I don't know if people know in the outdoor industry, you see all these people that are pro staff this, pro staff that. They're doing product reviews on stuff. They are given product and paid for those reviews. So I guess look at it at what you are. I do not worry about foods being grain free. I will if I think a dog has allergies. Our lines do not. We feed a good food. A lot of times, your grains, if it's got a huge percentage, can be a filler. Which, if it's a filler or binding agent, that's not a bad thing. It all comes down to, for us, price and making sure that it's good for the dogs. Hello from California. And we're checking in from Delaware. If you guys got questions, go ahead and throw them up here. We'd love to hear them. Again, we're on Facebook now. We're also putting this up on YouTube. If you've got questions after the fact, sportingdogtv@gmail.com is where you can send me an email. Um, yeah, it's just a nice hot day here in Wisconsin. When I have a day like this, where today the heat index is going to be probably well over 100, I actually work the dogs between about 7 and 8:30 a.m. Get them out. I work with them a lot of times in an area that's shadowed or in water, and make sure that you're not overworking them. Not that when you're training, you're going to work a dog real long anyway. We keep our sessions to about 10 to 15 minutes when we're working with dogs. Again, they're high intensity with expectations. So you want to be incredibly rewarding to the dog. They're doing what you're supposed to, teaching them if you're going to correct them, and then not having them out there too long. You can overtrain a dog. If you have a dog out too long, what will happen is you get an attitude where the dog won't even want to train, which when you're doing stuff like force fetch, e-collar conditioning, collar reinforcement with your commands, it can be very difficult to keep a dog's spirits up. We actually, because it's so hot, I decided I was going to do a fun week. I'm not doing a lot of collar pressure this week. There's a couple of dogs that I will use the collar with, but the other dogs were making it all fun, really getting them so that they are enjoying retrieving, so that then next week we can come back and start recorrecting them and they will have a better attitude about it and they'll run harder. You always have to look at the dog you're working with and kind of set your training up around them. Not all dogs are the same. They're all different. I still remember my first dog was very, very hard-headed. She would run through a brick wall for me, but also acted like a brick at times. My second dog, that was actually a puppy out of her, would melt if you looked at her cross. So it was a learning experience for me where I was trying to put pressure on this second dog, Dixie, the same that I had with my first dog named Lily. It didn't work because Dixie had lots of drive and retrieving desire and everything you'd want in a dog, but she just didn't take pressure like that. So I actually was set back in my training several times because of the fact that I wasn't reading the dog and understanding that it wasn't necessarily that she didn't want to do something. It was that she was adverse to pressure. So always watch your dogs when you're doing that stuff. Now, let's see. If you guys have questions, again, please put them up. Let us know where you're from. Let us know what kind of dogs you have. We've got several states checking in all across the country. We've got East Coast, West Coast, some in between. We only have U.S. And Canada right now. We don't have anything farther than that. Across the pond, we get a couple. But yeah, it's it is fun for me. We're headed into mid-July. Our teal season starts September 1st, and goose season starts September 1st. Then our full waterfowl season starts the end of September. I am going this year to Alberta in the middle of September, and then we'll be headed to Kansas for filming the upland hunt with the governor of Kansas for the governor's hunt. Um, those are the only trips I have planned. The rest of the stuff we're going to film around here at my place. So it's going to be a fun year. I've got our property that is now going to be up to 185 acres that we have in central Wisconsin. Um, Beautiful property, great for deer, wonderful for waterfowl. Last year was tough because of the amount of water we had in the area. It was a pretty terrible year for everybody in the area. But this year, I am definitely looking forward to it. We've got 10 blinds up, and I'm hoping between the ducks and deer, we really get to put a lot of deer on the ground and a lot of ducks in the water. So we're getting to the point here where we're going to cut it off if we don't get any other questions. We again, if you have questions after we end our talk, you can always put them up. We always come back and check this, and we always put leave this pinned to the top of the page a few days. But it seems to be a summer day pretty much where we're not hitting as many folks. But again, we do this every week. If you run into a problem with training, whether it's your house dog, your hunting dog, or you're getting into hunting and you're looking at the upcoming season, let us know. I'd love to help you. We want to get more people involved in our sport. We personally take out several people a year and try to mentor them in our sport. This year, we're taking out a pastor from a church that we were part of, as well as I've got a client that has a dog that he bought from me that's never hunted before. Try to get more people involved in our sport. Try not to be so secretive on where you're going so that you can absolutely help grow our sport that is rapidly contracting. Let's see here if we got some more questions. Seems like we had a couple that popped in. Got a pup at 22 weeks. Training was going very well. Now it seems like she's starting to test me. I'm trying to keep training sessions short and sweet and leave on a high note. Ron, you got to read your dog. You're always going to run into issues where the dogs do want to challenge. You want to use your e-collar to correct the dog. But if you are working on one step that day, whether it's a obedient or a force fetch or something like that, I would get through it. I would accomplish the goal. And once you accomplish a step that you had for that day, I don't care if it's 2, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, or 20 minutes, stop there, because if you continue on in your training and try to accomplish another step that you didn't even think about that day for that day, if you run into a problem there, you can actually take 2 steps back. You will lose what. So try to have your training set up in your head where you're like, today I'm going to work on this, and once you accomplish it, make it fun for the dog. Again, remember, training is like building. You need to build your foundation: obedience, e-collar, force fetch. Those are your that's the base of your house. Finish that stuff first before you try to do anything else, or what'll happen is you run into issues and everything falls apart. All right, Greg, my dog is a lab. Would I work with your dog on pointing? Greg, we have several lines in our dogs that do point. I don't work with it at all. I actually probably incorrectly, if my dog is pointing something, I'll tell him to sit, which means stationary, or I'll tell him hold, hold, hold. I don't work with the dog a lot, but I think it's a cool thing. My dogs that do naturally point, they hold points pretty solid. Actually, a couple of them I can't even get them to go in and flush when I catch up to them. The one thing I will tell you guys, this is only to Dog Talk Live. Usually the birds I miss are the ones the dog points. I don't know what it is. When it's easy, the bird flies straight away. I'll miss 3 times when I know it's coming. I do so much better when it is a surprise when the birds come up. So there, that's my confession to everybody today. Dennis, where are you guys going in southern Missouri? And I was going to come out with you guys and try to hunt, but if we film, then it can't be as many dogs. So I'd love to hunt with your crew, but at the same time, it's kind of fulfillment. I've got to be somewhere where it's only one or two dogs running. Let me know where you guys are going though. All right, we are getting to the end here. We're going to cut off our talk. Again, if you have questions, please put them up. sportingdogtv@gmail.com. Tomorrow at 8 o'clock Central on Facebook, the Sporting Dog Adventures channel, we're going to put our Upland from Old School Outfitters in Kansas, our Upland episode up. We're also going to release it at 9 o'clock on YouTube. We're doing premieres, so I will be here to chat with people while these episodes come up. And I hope you guys enjoyed our Labrador Retriever coat color episode, and I hope you guys enjoyed the Upland episode. Stay cool, keep the dogs cool, get ready for the season, guys. It's coming. I'm excited. Hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for watching. All right, having trouble here trying to stop streaming.